welcome to England. Is this the first time you've come to England?
No, it's actually, personally, it's actually my fourth or fifth time, but it's the second time as a band. We were here in May, and we did one show at the Hammersmith Palais in London, and that was just our UK debut, and now we're here on a full-blown UK tour, and we're smack dab right in the middle of it.
So I don't know the first thing about Anthrax, so you're going to have to fill me in completely. Tell me a little bit about the history of Anthrax, okay? Starting off, of course, with all the various band members.
The band was originally formed in 1981 with me and the original bass player, Danny Loca, who played on the Fistful of Metal album. And we went through a number of lineup changes till the beginning of '83 when we settled on the lineup that actually recorded Fistful of Metal. And there's only been two changes since then. Was when our old lead singer Neil Turbin, we kicked him out of the band, and he was replaced with Joey, who's in the band now. And Danny, the original bass player, left the band right before Fistful of Metal came out and was replaced by Frankie, who's playing bass with us. So really, we've been together with this lineup close to 3 years now, and I mean, this is really the Anthrax that everybody knows about. I mean, Fistful of Metal did sell a lot of records, but more people know about us from this lineup, from the Spreading the Disease album, than the Fistful of Metal album.
Yeah. So what part of the country do you come from then?
Oh, we're all from New York.
All from New York City.
Most New York City, yeah, Bronx and Queens, and we just all met each other just from going to shows back in the late '70s and just hanging out and stuff, and we just all knew each other.
Yeah. Well, a little bit later on, of course, we're going to be talking about some of the clubs around New York, and of course Los Angeles and San Francisco as well. But apparently you were quite pally with the boys from Man of War, especially Ross the Boss.
Oh yeah, well, they were a big help to us, like especially back in the early days, like in '82 and '83 when we were doing a lot of demo tapes, and Ross pretty much just offered his services to us, if we needed a producer or anything just to help us. They helped us get equipment and stuff and hooked us up with Marshall and all sorts of things. They were just a real big help to us. So, we have nothing to say but good things about Man of War.
What are Man of War doing now, though? Because they've been very conspicuous by their absence since the last
They're
album.
actually recording their new album right now back in the States. They're in Chicago, I believe, doing a new record for, it's coming out on Atlantic Records. So it should be, hopefully a big thing for them.
For the last 5 years, of course, you've been associated with Metallica quite a lot.
Right,
a lot of people originally in Great Britain thought about Anthrax as a, should we say, a thrash metal band. I know you don't like that moniker, and I don't blame you for it. But how would you compare your music with moniker then, Scott? I mean...
Well, it's not that we don't like being called a thrash metal band. It's just that a lot of people, if they hear they hear the term thrash metal, then a lot of people might take a negative attitude towards it. We could be whatever anyone really wants to call us. Whatever. I mean, there's so many different things we call a thrash metal band, a heavy metal band, a this metal or that metal. I mean, it really doesn't matter. When we formed Anthrax, it was in our minds to be a heavy metal band because that's what we listened to and that's what we liked, and we just consider ourselves a heavy metal band. That's what we are.
And this, of course, is your first visit to the UK. And what do you think of our country from what you've seen of it so far? Apart from, of course, that gig you were talking about at the Hammersmith Palais.
Right. Yeah, it's actually a first visit outside of London.
That's right, yeah. Everybody in America always thinks there is only one place, and that is London.
Right.
But of course, I mean... you do get poor places like Manchester. You can get poorer places like Scotland as well. That's very disrespectful to Tom Russell, I think. But what is your opinion?
It's been great. It's been great. We've actually only done so far. The first show was in Cardiff in Wales. Then we played Bradford, which is here in England, and then we were in Edinburgh, which is Scotland, and then 2 shows in Ireland. So actually tonight really starts the actual England shows because we have Manchester, Sheffield, and Birmingham, and London, and Newcastle. So it's really starting tonight. We'll actually really get to see a lot of England.
See a lot of the countryside.
But from what we've seen so far, as far as the shows and the crowds, it's been really great. Great crowd reaction.
Great stuff. Rumours drift over from America, Scott, that rock artists are suffering over there quite a bit. In some cases, the PMRC are not helping matters at all. I know that's the case of Twisted Sister and AC/DC, British band AC/DC, etc. Are you finding it's affecting you at all?
No, not at all, because our lyrics, first of all, we don't write about really the kind of stuff that the PMRC is coming down against, the typical sex, drugs, and that kind. We really don't write about that in our lyrics. We tend to stick to more worldly subjects. We just write about current events and things that are happening in the world, and just things that we like about comic books. And all sorts of things. We generally tend to try and stay away from those kind of lyrics anyway, just because so many bands do it. We just try to be different.
Yeah, of course the name Anthrax. You know what that derives
Oh, yeah,
from.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
about that. I suppose we ought to fill in people, the uninitiated, with what it is. It's a disease.
Right, it's
spread
actually
originally by cattle.
Right, it's a cattle disease, and I don't know. I mean, when we first heard the name, I learned about it. I think in my biology class back in high school, and I just stuck in my mind, and I just figured, well, when we get a band together, Anthrax sounds like a good name because most people probably won't even know what it is, and nobody, I mean, it's just an original name, so
Yeah,
it just worked.
It was a killer disease. Of course, it spread originally throughout the whole of the UK.
Right,
after the First World War.
We heard that when we were up in Scotland, there's an island up there. I don't even know if I could pronounce the name, the Grun something. And there's an actual island up there where they experimented with anthrax, and nobody can go there now. It's actually only scientists go there because it's in the ground, and nobody can go there because it's infested with anthrax. So we thought it'd be kind of fun to go and take pictures there or something. But
that's right. Yeah. As a matter of fact, what they have been doing actually just in the last month is doing some soil samples. They've been taking sort of probing about 10 foot down in the soil to see exactly what it is. Yeah. So are you getting much airplay on MTV, which of course is your big cable television thing in America?
Well, what's funny about MTV is there is the Madhouse video, and when we first did a video, we never really worried about whether or not MTV was going to play it. We sort of knew that MTV probably wouldn't play it because they generally tend not to play any heavy metal music on MTV. So we just did it anyway because there's a lot of other independent stations, and we knew it would become a big thing for us. So now, after it was officially banned and all that by MTV standard boards, they wouldn't play it. And so now MTV, because we're getting bigger and bigger in the United States, MTV came to us and they shot this big interview with us and all sorts of things. And they're actually playing interviews with us on MTV, and stuff like that. And they show us on MTV, but yet they still won't play the video because they say it made fun of old people and mental patients. All it was just all our friends in straitjackets dancing around, and so it was a laugh, but they just don't look at it that way. But we really can make it without the MTV. I mean, it's not like you need MTV to break it in the States anymore.
Is that the case? Yeah, originally it was, wasn't it?
Well, but not for our kind of music. For a more commercial heavy metal band, maybe. But for a band that's aiming for radio play, we don't get any radio play, in the States anyway. So it's not like MTV would have made a bigger difference for us.
No. Have you done any festivals over in America at all?
No, we haven't. The first festival we're playing is the last show of this tour, which is the Aardschok Festival in Holland.
Well, that'll be good.
That's going to be our first one, and hopefully next year there was talk that we almost got the Donington bill, and hopefully next year maybe we'll be on Donington, and we'll get on the Day on the Green show in San Francisco next year, and the Texas Jam show. We almost got on the Texas show also this year, but the bill was already filled up. It was too late. But next year I'm sure we'll be on some big festivals.
See, Donington was a big break for Metallica last year.
Right,
I mean, the record company will tell you that it was the best thing that ever happened to them. And so.
Well, 70,000 people. That's.
Can't
a lot of
complain
people.
about that, can you? No, very true. Right, I want to play you a piece of music now. We've heard a couple of tracks from Anthrax, okay? I want to play you a track from a band called Zodiac Mindwarp. Now, do you know anything about him at all?
Just from what I read in Kerrang and the pictures I've seen, that's about it.
Well, the guy he was a journalist. He used to write for a magazine called Metal Fury. He is a total lunatic. But without letting too many cats out of the bag, he's really quite together. And so we'll take one track off. He's got a 6-track LP out at the moment.
Right.
And he's appearing at the Manchester Apollo Theatre on Saturday. All right, that's tomorrow morning. And this track is called High Priest of Love.
It's like Motorhead meets Jimi Hendrix or something. Right? It's kind of
well, actually, I tell you one thing: you can't be too far wrong, because I mean, Mark Manning, or who is Zodiac Mindwarp, we will stop calling him Mark Manning. That's very wrong. He does resemble Jimmy in a way. He's an unshaven guy. He sort of wears weird leathers, ripped up jeans, the lot, So you quite enjoyed that?
Yeah, it was okay. And I mean, does a band like this, the Zodiac, would they get like commercial radio play here in Britain?
They won't, Scott. No, sadly they won't. As a matter of fact, probably we are the only radio station playing it. Very sadly, yeah. Yeah,
it's just like the United States. 'Cause, I mean, a metal band or whatever you want to call it generally can't get regular commercial radio. There's the specialty shows and Metal Shop and all that kind of stuff that would play it, but regular commercial radio would never play, a heavy metal band.
Isn't it sad? It's bad.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Because the kids love it.
Yeah. They definitely love it. There's a lot of people out there who, I mean, Iron Maiden will tour the United States and sell out 100 shows across the United States, and yet, they could barely get a song on the radio, which is really weird.
It's bad news. No. Of course, the same with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Stage dress. Well, I was telling you about Zodi's stage dress. How important is stage dress to you?
Not at all.
No?
I mean, we pretty much just we just go for it. I mean, I've been wearing shorts now for a long time on stage, and I mean, we just whatever we were wearing, we don't wear anything special at all. I wear my Judge Dredd T-shirt and my shorts, and that's about it, and that's I guess my stage uniform. That's it.
Fair enough. Yeah, let the music do the talking.
Exactly.
In other words, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Now then, you've signed a big deal with Island Records, of course,
Right.
as we were just saying a little bit earlier on. I would have thought, personally, it would have been more beneficial for Anthrax to have toured with a new Island record under their belts. What's the situation there?
Well, the thing is, like, with Spreading the Disease came out in the United States in October of '85, and it wasn't released here till I think February of '86, and we didn't even do a tour here. We did the one show at the Palais. We toured Europe in May. We toured Germany and Holland and Belgium, but we only did the one show in London, so we had never really toured here, and we've been on tour this year since March. We started in March, opening for Black Sabbath in the United States, then went out and headlined, came here, went back to the States, did more dates. We've done about 110 shows so far this year, and there hasn't been, I mean, even a day, where we could have even started thinking about recording a new album yet. So we had finally got some time off in August, right before we came here, and finally got together and wrote mostly all the new material. And once this tour is over, then we'll be recording the new album. And maybe coming right back here when the new album comes out, or doing the States first. We
That'll be
really
good.
don't
Yes.
know first.
Yeah.
But we pretty much plan to headline next time we come back. Pretty much the same tour that we're doing now at Metallica will probably be headlining this next year and bring over another American band as a support for us.
That's great, yeah. Okay, we're going to take a break now, but right after the break, I'm going to play you some music. I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Okay.
Right? I'm going to ask you to guess who it is.
Okay.
And we'll have a little bit of a chat about that.
A blind date.
Yes. Any idea who that is?
Well, it's obviously Lemmy, but I've never heard it before.
Absolutely right, yeah. Actually, what it is Lemmy on vocals. You're absolutely right. It's a band called the Albert Järvinen Band. And what happened is in 1984, when Motorhead were touring Finland,
Right.
This guy, Albert Järvinen, came up with a demo tape, and he said, listen, we've been trying to put this song together, called Countdown. Do you think you could assist us at all? And so Lemmy said, we'd like you to produce it, in other words. And so Lemmy said, well, I don't know whether you know Lemmy, but he's quite a one for one-liners. And he said, well, the only way I can assist you is to sing over it for you. But yes, I will have a go at producing, and that is exactly what happened. That is the Albert Järvinen Band featuring Lemmy on vocals, produced by a guy called Teet. Very good guy too. Very, very good engineer. I wanted him to do the last Motorhead album.
Right.
Yeah, but they chose somebody else. Anyway, that's beside the point. So that's who it is. You see. Do you think producers yourself are important when you're with Anthrax?
Well, for us, we generally know exactly what kind of sound that we want. I mean, I know what kind of sound comes out of my amps, and so we generally know what kind of sounds we're going to have on tape, and we really wouldn't want to have an outside someone coming in and saying, well, you should change this here in your music, and we wouldn't want anyone else arranging our material for us. But the real need for a producer is when it comes time to mix the actual record. See, that what we're going to do with the new album, we're going to do pretty much everything ourselves, the sounds and all that, and then we're going to actually have someone mix it. And Eddie Kramer's doing the next record with us.
That is a very, very sound idea.
He's actually engineering it, and he's gonna mix the album for us, and it's probably gonna work out really good because he really gets them when he mixes. He really gets everything sounding exactly the way it should. In the mix, everything will be at the right level. So
who did the first two then?
The first two were produced with us and Carl Kennedy, the drummer from that band, The Rods.
Carl Kennedy, of course.
So
yes.
we did those two albums together ourselves, and we've learned enough now after doing two albums to be able to really handle doing it ourselves and then just having Eddie mix it for us.
Don't get complacent with it though.
Oh no, we definitely would.
Eddie has one tendency on occasions to get a little bit complacent himself and let the band have all their head. And, it happened with the second Fastway album, and an album called All Fired Up, and it doesn't always work. Of course.
Right.
I have no doubt you'll do a good job there.
Yeah.
Which other bands do you like who are floating about the circuit at the moment?
I like a mixture of everything from a band like Run DMC to New York hardcore bands like the Crumbsuckers and a band like Suicidal Tendencies or AC/DC and Black Sabbath and I mean everything.
Who's this Crumbsuckers?
They're
Mark, your tour manager was said.
Right, we actually heard them on the radio somewhere last night. It was on the radio. We don't know who was playing it, but they're a local band from New York City that just put their first album out on Music for Nations, and they're just a real like almost like a hardcore and heavy metal kind of crossover band, and it's just real heavy and fast and just really good. Great guitar players.
I'll kill that
Great
record
band.
company.
Great band.
That's the second time I've insulted them in this hour. It's only because Metallica haven't turned up, which I think is very, very bad form indeed. And I am not amused. Anyway, that's beside that point. Okay, let me tell you, we have quite a few seedy little clubs and pubs down in London, from whence a lot of British bands hail.
Right.
We've got the Marquee, which actually is well known worldwide.
Right, yeah.
Also the Greyhound at Fulham too, and a club called Alice in Wonderland, which is right in the heart of seedy Soho. Have you ever been? You won't have been to Soho at all?
I really wouldn't even know. I've been to the Marquee a few times, but
Yeah.
I haven't been to any
Well,
of the
the
other
district
places.
of Soho is, and of course there are quite a lot of people in Manchester who don't know much about Soho, but it's full of, it's the red light district
Right.
of London, and it's got topless bars and all that. Well, actually the bars have got tops on them, but the girls that work behind them don't.
Right.
Do you have any seedy clubs over in New York?
Yeah,
Los
probably
Angeles,
the
Frisco?
in New York, probably, and it's also just like the Marquee. It's sort of like a world famous club. It's called CBGB, and it's on the Lower East Side on the Bowery, and I mean it's like this tiny little club, maybe twice the size of this room we're sitting in right now, and back in the 70s you had every band from Police to AC/DC. I mean every band has played this place, and then when you had that whole wave of bands like Talking Heads and Blondie and all those bands, Ramones, when they all broke out in New York, they all got their start at like CBGB's, and now it's pretty much like every night of the week, they have live bands, and every Sunday they have what they call like the hardcore and metal shows, a matinee that starts at 4 o'clock, and they have 4 bands every Sunday, and it's most like New York bands and bands who are on tour, and they actually pack sometimes 800 to 1,000 people into this tiny place, and it's one of the craziest scenes you'd ever see in your life. It's just bodies on top of bodies on top of bodies, just diving everywhere. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen, and that's probably got to be the epitome of the sleaziest clubs in New York, and then. But it happens to be the best club also, though, so I guess, the two go together. But you have other places like a club called L'Amour's, which is in Brooklyn, which holds up to about 2,000 people, and that's pretty much been our sort of stomping grounds up until now, because we just did 2 nights there, our last 2 shows on our American tour at the end of July, and it was sold out both nights, and it's really too small for us to play there now. So there's another place in Manhattan called the Ritz, which is about the same size as L'Amour's, which is a lot nicer, though. You get sort of like a nicer crowd, and then you get places like the Felt Forum, and then you get Radio City, then you get Madison Square Garden. You just get bigger and bigger. I think we're doing a Felt Forum show in December when we get back, and that holds about 6,000 people. So,
Gosh, you're big.
yeah, it's,
And you call that a club?
well, Felt Forum's not a club. The Felt Forum is a hall, but the Ritz is still a club, and L'Amour's is a club. And what we're looking forward to doing is, like, say, next year, after we're done touring in 1987 and we've played all around the world, and we'll probably come back to New York and play at CBGB's or something under another name. And we tend to like to do things like that, and sometimes we'll just even send out invitations just to 1,000 people and let them come down and on a free show and just make a big party out of it. Play under the name the Soldiers of Metal or the Cattle Harpies or something. Just make up some kind of crazy name and go down and do a show. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, much more fun probably than doing the formal concerts.
Well, both are fun, but this is more so fun because it's usually just all our friends and people we know there, and we just have a laugh the whole show and just tend not to take things too serious, which is like our regular shows anyway. But it's all about the same.
Well, you've been a laugh during this show. It's been lovely having your company, though, and once more a very big warm welcome to England.
Thanks.
to
It's been great.
And we have a few little goodies to give away.
Yeah,
All
Anthrax
right?
grab bag.
So that's right. Yeah, yes. I like that one. So, what about setting a bit of a competition then, Scott?
All right, well, it's a pretty easy one to anyone who really knows anything about the band, but I've got a certain word shaved into my chest, and if anyone knows what that word is, and just, I guess, to make it a little harder, what the word is and what it means. And it's really not hard at all, but what the word that's shaved into my chest and what that word means, and I guess you win if you get that right.
Absolutely, yeah. A nice little collection of goodies too on behalf of Island Records and of course Anthrax as well too. Well, good luck to you. All right.
Well, thanks.
Thanks very much for bobbing in, and we'll see you. Well, it'll be next year, won't it? Now.
Yes,
next time we'll
next
see
year.
you.
Next year.
Yeah. Okay then, Scott. Thanks very much.